Hit that subscribe button if you're new. It only takes a couple of seconds. Sub and hit the like button. Thank you.
What's going on, guys? My name's Jeffrey. Welcome back to Reactions and to reacting to the authenticity of Lana Del Rey. So I checked out the Born to Die album and a couple of her music videos. I'll be checking out her all new album Chemtrails, some very soon, hopefully by the end of this week. But yeah, somebody requested this, and I absolutely love doing like reacting and watching these video essays of artists, so we're checking out today. If you're new here, subscribe, click the like button, check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel and get much more Lana Del Rey content. And yeah, let's check this out.
For many, video games was the first they had ever heard of Lana Del Rey.
Video game.
Legendary song.
The single was accompanied by a self-made music video featuring archive footage spliced between clips of this promising new star. And then Blue Jeans arrived. The nostalgic aesthetic, the wistful vocals, the captivating pouty persona. It was a remarkable one-two punch from an unknown singer that made it difficult to not pay attention. Nearly overnight, Lana Del Rey became an internet phenomenon. Today, she's a Grammy Award-nominated, multi-platinum selling singer, songwriter, poet, model, and video director. Her album, Born to Die, has spent over 300 weeks on the Billboard 200, making her one of only 3 women to do so. Selling more than 7 million.
Probably, what, her, Taylor Swift, and who else probably? Trying to, maybe Ariana Grande? I don't know. It could be Ariana Grande. Let me know who the third woman is. It could, I'm trying to think, man. I'm trying to think who it would be. I can only really think of maybe Katy Perry, but I don't know. I'm thinking Rihanna, probably Ariana Grande, I'm thinking. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below.
In copies, its tracks have collectively been streamed over 1.5 billion times on Spotify. In the 6 months leading up to its release, Lana Del Rey had gone from a complete unknown to an international darling. To many, she was this indie queen who had somehow made it. But before she even released her major label debut, she became one of the most controversial figures to emerge in popular culture. As the public learned more about her, only more questions and criticisms followed. From her voice to her true identity, what were we to believe?
Yeah, I did not know any of this, so this is actually super interesting to me.
Was Lana Del Rey an actual musical talent? Or a manufactured sensation?
Yo, what?
On June 29th, 2011, the video game's music video was uploaded to YouTube. The next day, it got taken down for including copyrighted footage, but the single started making rounds over radio and online music. That's crazy. Blogs. Lana Del Rey was somewhat of an anomaly.
I wonder what
There's
she used.
Not much else like her. She occupies her own unique space in the pop spectrum.
Exactly, dude. When I listen to Born to Die, there's like nobody that I've listened to that has like, it makes music like her. Like, it's so unique. It was insane to me because I couldn't believe what I was listening to, because it sounds like it sounds like old music, has the indie touch. I just don't listen to music like that. Maybe there are people that make music like that, but in my like experience listening to music, I've only really heard her do that style of music. So it was actually really fascinating to listen to. It opened up like a whole new genre of like kind of like music for me. So.
The musical climate of the time, Lana Del Rey challenged the pop status quo, labeling her as an alternative or indie artist. This led every internet music blog to offer some appreciation for the refreshing indie pop star. By August, Video Games was re-edited and uploaded. Soon after, a video for Blue Jeans arrived. The nostalgic aesthetic, the wistful vocals, the captivating pouty persona. It was a remarkable one-two punch from an unknown singer that made it difficult to not pay attention. But nearly overnight, the world learned of Lizzie Grant.
Bro, I'm so confused right now. What's going on?
Born in upstate New York in the mid-'80s.
Wait, is Lizzie... Wait, that's not her real name?
Woolridge Grant came from an upper middle class...
Yo, Lana Del Rey... Bro, that's the first time I've ever... Yo, that's crazy.
Family. She sang all throughout her life, at school and in her church choir. She lived a fairly normal childhood until she reached her early teens. She began acting out, skipping school, and drinking. As a result, her parents sent her...
I mean, she literally... I love that. That's literally, her music is about doing that, though. That's so cool. That's legitimately so cool, though. That's like legit. I guess that's like authenticity of Lana Del Rey, right?
To a boarding school where she felt isolated, befriending only a teacher who introduced her to the musical legends of the past and some polarizing subject matter like Lolita. By the time she graduated, she sobered up and moved to Long Island, spending a year as a waitress. She lived with her aunt and uncle, the latter of which would teach her a few guitar chords, ultimately kickstarting her songwriting career. For fun, she began testing her songs at open mics in Brooklyn.
That's really cool that she started writing like so late, because I feel like a lot of musicians you see today, I guess not all of them, but like, you know, they start writing in their teenage years, where like that's like she like started learning guitar and writing very, I feel like very late, right? Like probably if she was already graduated high school and then like she's like 19, 20, maybe 21 when she started all of this. That's pretty crazy. And then like her like doing like open bar, that's really impressive.
As Lizzie Grant some nights and Sparkle Jump Rope Queen on others.
So that's crazy. She had like 2 different aliases. I've never heard of this before. That's wild to me.
At 19,
really
she
cool.
enrolled in university for philosophy. In her spare time, she would self-record acoustic tracks under the alias May Jailer.
Bro,
A few years
what?
later, she entered a songwriting competition. She didn't win, but an A&R rep from 5 Points Records took an interest in her talents, later offering to sign the young starlet. Lizzie took her signing bonus and moved into a mobile home in New Jersey where she focused her efforts on songwriting and video making. The demo she compiled had producers interested due to its distinct sound. In particular, a producer who's worked with Paul McCartney, The Strokes, and Stevie Nicks, to name a few.
That's
David
sick.
Kane paired with Lizzie to release her debut E EP.
Wow, so she has a whole EP as a different person. Well, not different, but like a different name. I mean, it's not the craziest thing for people to go like Drake, like his real name's Aubrey Graham. Like it's not the craziest thing in the world, right? But it's still, I feel like a lot of artists don't put out music as a different alias and then put out music as a different alias. I've never really heard of that. And let me know if that's like, I'm sure that's happened multiple times before. I'm not like saying it's like it's new to me though, because I haven't really listened to an artist that's done that I know of. Maybe it has happened. But that's pretty crazy that Lizzie Grant, huh? So she has been making, so 2008, okay.
Which saw Lizzie get featured as one of iTunes' Emerging Artists of the Year. Lizzie
That's
and
so
Kane spent the
funny.
year working on a full album. But at some point before its release, Lizzie wanted to change her stage name, and the album was put on hold until 2010. The digital release of Lana Del Rey marked the beginnings of her musical transformation.
I like the name Lana Del Rey is
But
pretty
it never
sick
saw
though.
a physical release, and within 3 months, the hopeful pop star pulled the album from iTunes. Lizzie felt nothing was happening, and now under new management, she asked for a separation agreement from her label. The young star and her management wanted a clean slate, removing any trace of the project from the web.
That's crazy.
Lizzie and her new managers moved to London, where they hoped her sound would be a little more appealing. It was also around this time when she would change her visual aesthetic, started cutting together her own music videos, and met fellow songwriter Justin Parker.
That's so cool though that she like made her own music videos too and started like editing them herself. Like that's really cool. I like this story. I really
Together,
like this.
the two wrote the song that would launch both of their careers, and on June 29th, 2011, the video game's music video was uploaded to YouTube.
And that's why I got blocked or taken down. She edited herself. That's so funny.
I did what I had to.
See, I love videos like this. I learn so much.
The world learned of Lizzie Grant, her failed album, and discovered photos of her with label executives. The indie scene who had aided in launching her career felt deceived. The indie status of an
they like turned on her.
artist is a large part of their appeal, but with
Yeah,
it
true.
comes an expectation of being authentic and
True.
music that has a more confessional nature to it. And so the internet quickly turned against her, believing that this Lana Del
Wow.
Rey character was fabricated by her management. When she was signed with Interscope Records and Polydor following the release of Blue Jeans, early fans began turning their backs on her, calling her a sellout. But as the public learned more about Lana Del Rey, only more questions and criticisms followed. Was Lana Del Rey trying to cover up her past? I don't think she was. The record they had previously made wasn't bad. All parties were pretty proud of it after the fact, even re-releasing it after Born to Die debuted. And the tracks found on the album could very well fit onto Born to Die. In fact, one of them did. Yayo was first featured on her 5 Points debut, and later reworked for the extended Paradise edition.
Wow. I actually own that vinyl. I have that. I bought that vinyl like a month ago. It was sitting there. I
There
had
was
to
a
buy
rumor
it.
that Lana's father paid to kickstart her career. That was a bit of a half-truth. He did help in promoting the 5 Points record. Lana's dad was in advertising before starting his own company of buying and selling domain names. He built his wealth and had the means to support his child's ambitions. Lizzie was truly talented, and after all, it's not every day your daughter records a record with a producer who's worked with some legendary acts.
True.
In whatever way her father may have helped, it didn't do her much good. When signing to 5 Points,
I mean, yeah, because that whole EP, like literally, she took it down. It's like all of that, like literally, it didn't work anyway.
Lana was still evolving as an artist and as a person. She had come up with the Lana Del Rey moniker at some point between her EP and the album's release. By the time she released the record, it was being marketed under 3 names, making it a bit of a messy release, and the album didn't see much attention. She probably felt discouraged and wanted to start from the ground up with the new stage persona she had finally solidified. She contacted a lawyer by the name of Ben Mawson to get her out of her label contract, and he soon took over as her management from that point forward. She wasn't hiding her past. Lana Del Rey was a fresh start for the young singer, so it's not surprising that she wanted to disregard her previous work as to not confuse future audiences. But was she forced into
that would kind of like confuse people, because they're like, they see like that I understand that really would confuse me. It confuses me right now because I didn't know that. But imagine if like she was making music under 2 different aliases. So it is good that she like took all of that out, and then like that's so cool though. She has like a really cool backstory actually.
her image? That's debatable.
It was always the plan to just sort of create a sonic and visual world that I found to be beautiful.
She seemed to have had a vision of her music sounding cinematic and reflecting nostalgic black and white films. But when speaking with Pitchfork in 2011, she said, "I'm not trying to create an image or a persona. I'm just singing because that's what I know how to do." As for the origin of the name, she says she was spending quite some time in Miami, speaking Spanish with friends, and they landed on Lana Del Rey.
I knew that I wanted a name that sounded sort of exotic and reminded me of like the seaside on the Floridian coast, and Lana Del Rey.
Her name really does match the type of music she drops though. Like it really
beautiful
does.
To me, and I was just I just wanted a name for the music that I could start shaping the music towards. Just, yeah, something beautiful.
The name was a blend inspired by legendary actress Lana Turner and LA neighborhood Del Rey, Spanish for of the king. And she thought it sounded gorgeous coming off the tip of the tongue. And it does, but Lana said something concerning in an interview from 2010. "I wanted to be a band, but the label I was with and the team I had around me absolutely wanted me to be a solo artist. Lana Del Rey came from a series of managers and lawyers over the past 5 years who wanted a name that they thought would better fit the sound of the music. My music was always kind of cinematic, so they wanted a name that reflected the glamour of that sound." As far as we know, she had just only met Mawson the year before, so it's unclear who these managers and lawyers were at the time. All this quote really tells us, though, is that her team wanted her to be a solo artist and wanted her to have a more appropriate stage name that reflected her music. It's unclear whether or not she came up with the name herself, but I'll leave that for you to decide. And
I don't think like the name part is that big of a deal, honestly, because like so many people, YouTubers, I think like YouTubers, like my YouTubers, you know, just like the internet in general, you know, everybody on Twitter, Instagram, everybody has like a name, like their @ handle might not be their name. That's like a common thing I feel like today. I feel like in 2010 though, before that all started going on, 2011, like in being her being like an indie artist where like you have to be like, I guess, authentic in a way, where her music literally is super authentic. Well, I've listened to Born to Die, the album, but in that album you can see like through her backstory really did live that. But I think like a stage name like that is like not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Like I don't have a problem with somebody using an artist name from their real name. I feel like it also to like benefit the person. I feel like because like nobody bats an eye at Drake. I feel like everybody just thinks that's Drake's name. I just thought it was Lana Del Rey. I thought that was her name, and I feel like nothing changes for me knowing that that's not her real name. Like I feel like that's just, you know, that's just what she's known as. I feel like you can literally become known as anything you really want in life. That's what the coolest thing is, that you can literally start over like she did and become under a whole new name and become like be that person that you've always wanted to be. I think that's something really cool about the internet. It gives you that opportunity to do that, and I support that 100%. So
whether or not it truly matters. In another interview, Lana says she even changed the way she sang in order to be taken more seriously. "I sing low now, but my voice used to be a lot higher. Because of the way I looked, I needed something to ground the entire project. Otherwise, I think..."
I love how much thought she put into all of this is actually really impressive. She's very smart. Like the fact that she thought about all these different things and, you know, scrapped the first EP. She's like, okay, this isn't working. Let me literally reinvent myself. And she didn't just give up on it. And the fact that she learned music and everything so late, and she, all the tribulation she went, like being a bad kid and like going through all that and like using that to make her music and talk about that, it's really impressive. Actually, really impressive. Like I really like this.
People would assume I was some airhead singer. I've sung one way and sung another, and I've seen what people are drawn to. People were wondering if this transformation had been planned all along. Yes, it had been. When you start a business, you begin with a plan. There was a deliberate attempt to create a signature sound and image. Almost every artist...
See, that shows how smart she is, though, that she had this planned out. That's so cool.
...ever has done this. Lizzie uses her Lana image to further her music. They're inseparable, but they are the same person. She's never strayed too far away from her roots, and she's always been in the driver's seat.
People who I've worked with know that I do exactly what I want, and that's pretty much it.
Despite her 2010 comment, her new management nor her previous label were forcing her into this Lana image. She could have dropped the act whenever she liked. Then came the Saturday Night Live performance in mid-January. That was called one of the worst outings in SNL history.
Oh, really?
Dreams, gangsters, said you had to leave to start your life over. I was like, no, please.
Yeah, was she okay?
It left many to ask, can she actually sing? And yes,
yeah, she can.
I don't know what you
She's probably just nervous.
And I don't know how you get over someone as dangerous, tainted, and flawed as you.
It's safe to say Lana's SNL performance wasn't her greatest, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it was made out to be. I mean, we've seen worse performances on the late night show. This was Lana Del Rey's American television debut. She's a performer who admittedly has a bad case of stage fright.
But at least you literally know that she's singing, right? Like, people were like, oh, like, people bash you and be like, oh, you can't sing. But at least we know that she legitimately was singing. Like, she really was singing.
And going from playing small clubs to a...
Why is that look like Cole Sprouse right there, by the way? Or Dylan Sprouse? You know what I'm talking about? The kid literally right here that looks like Cole Sprouse. That's so funny.
Television audience of 8 million in just months? Can you blame her for being a little nervous? Perhaps she wasn't ready for the big time, but 2 weeks later, Born to Die was released, and as if unscathed by the harsh reviews and the controversies of the last 6 months, it debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the UK albums chart.
That's really
Lana's
impressive.
rise only continued with more television appearances, music videos, and brand deals. While most female pop artists were preaching of empowerment, a counter voice was bound to emerge. A woman fixated on themes of wealth.
Money is the reason we exist. Everybody knows it, it's a fact.
Self-destruction,
But I wish I was dead.
and hopeless romanticism.
I will love you till the end of time.
But how much of what she talks about in her music is fact? Is Lana Del Rey authentic? I don't think we're meant to interpret her lyrics literally. The things that happen in Lana's music could be true, exaggerated, or completely false. But the notion of her inauthenticity stems from the fact that she never seems to break this character, as outlandish as some of it may sound.
When it comes to my own music, it's 100% autobiographical.
Lana Del Rey only reminded us that authenticity is an illusion. The music we listen to, for the most part, is manufactured. It only balances sincerity and fiction in just the right ratios. Being a popular musician is inherently ridiculous and theatrical, and not every artist is inherently ridiculous and theatrical. Artists often create personas and sing about things in the first person that didn't actually happen. Lana Del Rey is no different than Beyonce, Gaga, Frank Ocean, Madonna, Bowie, Dylan, any other musical act. They play the part presenting themselves as something for you to enjoy. How certain are you that everything you're listening to is 100% genuine? There's not really a measure for how authentic music is, and I'm sure we all get tricked more than we can.
Yeah, that's true, because like we only see what artists really want us to see, like how much of it really is like their, you know, they say it is, but you never can be 100% certain. So you have to sit there, you have to believe, you know. Maybe that's the issue. Is people, that's been her biggest hurdle, is getting people to believe it. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of artists, they get you easily to believe it. But like with like once you start doubting the person, it's like not as enjoyable to listen to. You just like need the people to believe you.
Care
I
to
guess.
admit. Born to Die went platinum, Lana Del Rey wrote Young and Beautiful for 2013's The Great Gatsby, and then the chart-topping
That's
remix
it.
of
I never watched The Great Gatsby. I need to watch
Summertime
that.
Sadness suitably
Leonardo
closed out the summer.
DiCaprio.
Her widely praised follow-up Ultraviolence saw her record her vocals in live single takes without any additional editing. It also fleshed out the details of her
That's
persona,
wild.
breathing life into the character and framing her as a female who's aware of the tragedies she finds herself in. When Lizzie Grant released her music, it failed. She reinvented herself as Lana Del Rey, and it worked. Lana was a more calculated character. She looked different, but the songs were about the same. Regardless of the moniker she decided to embody, who her father is, or whether it solely existed to make money, Video Games was a unique and emotionally moving song. Had it been a bad one, no one would have cared to notice. After 7 years and 4 albums, her art has spoken for itself. Lana Del Rey has pumped out increasingly better music, and her upcoming release is getting anticipation from publications that once rolled her eyes at her. So, what are we to believe? Well, that nothing is truly authentic. Just enjoy what you enjoy and find out why after the fact. Or don't at all.
I don't know, man. This is like making me doubt everything now. Because I feel like when I listened to it, it felt like super authentic and from the heart. Like that's but I guess it's just interpretation, right? That's like maybe I'm just easily fooled. Maybe everybody I listen to is just fake. But I guess that's literally artists just literally YouTube videos are the same day, right? You just believe like reaction video. I think reaction videos like you have to just believe that person really is never like you have to believe right now like the person watching this has to believe that I've never watched this video before, and like secretly I just sit here and I just love listening to every Lana Del Rey album ever. But I feel like that's like the thing, right? Like you have to like you just feel like it's authentic, you know? That's what you watch YouTube videos. It feels even more authentic than some of these artists. I don't know, man. It's hard to this is weird. It's weird, but you just kind of like believe it. You just have to, right? I mean, but like not TV shows aren't authentic, but like people love them still. I don't know. It's interesting though. It really is interesting. People just love characters. I don't know. Well, this was a really interesting video to watch. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you're new here, subscribe, click the like button, check my Patreon, feels worth checking further. Everyone's a great day. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on this video. This is actually really good video. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video.